All right, let's roll. We got a really fun guest today and a really fun topic. So Travis is, I like to think, becoming a fast friend of mine. He and I met a couple years back, or maybe a year back. Super cool dude, super smart, and extremely successful in real estate. So I'm going to give you sort of the textbook introduction for Travis, and then we're going to dig into who Travis is as a human. We're going to dig into his real estate career, and we're going to talk specifically about AI because he has some a lot of experience with that. So Travis is an active agent. So Travis runs a team of 13 people. He's going to correct me if I get any of his stats wrong. Team of 13 people that closed 225 units last year. He is also the director of innovation in his office in Louisville, Kentucky. And he also works with KWRI. So he spent time with KWRI working on figuring out how do we actually use and implement AI in a productive way inside of our sales businesses. So the fact that KWRI plucked him out of Kentucky and said, this guy is probably helpful and can add some value to this conversation means a lot. And that's not a dig on Kentucky. I'm just saying they found him all the way in Kentucky. He must have something valuable to add to the AI conversation.
You look like, it's starting to sound more like a dig, you know?
It's not a dig.
Kentucky, you know?
Kentucky's great, man. I'm a horse guy, so I like Kentucky. I'm a whiskey guy. I got lots of reasons to like.
You'll fit in then. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
All right, cool. So outside of that textbook's introduction, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? So let's start with, outside of the office, who are you? Tell us a little bit about your business and tell us how you actually got into real estate. Let's start there.
For sure. I got to correct you on one thing, though. You said one thing wrong.
Okay.
It's Louisville, not Louisville. It's Louisville.
Louisville?
Like basically Louisville.
Louisville?
Louisville. Yeah.
Really? That's how that hurt. That feels so uncomfortable to me. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it though.
I did an AI chat at Film Reunion, and I had the whole room say Louisville, and it was hilarious. But yeah, so I got into business 12 years ago when I was a baby. I was 19 years old. Lived with my dad, didn't know what the heck I was doing. Wanted to do everything else but real estate, to be honest with you. And he made me do it because I switched my majors like 5 times. And I got it into the first year. He like handed me down, 5 or 6 deals for my first 6 months. I just showed up. I wrote the offer. He did the rest, the whole 9 yards.
All right, so your dad was in real estate. So
my dad was already in. Yeah, my dad was already in. So in January of that year, though, the following year, I went to him and said, hey, I'm going to go out on my own, and I don't want to be on your team anymore. And I was hoping he would say, you can't do that. And I was going to be like, cool, I quit, and I'm going to go be a fantasy football millionaire and all the things, like nothing productive at all with my life. And he said, yeah, you should, and you're going to fail. I was like, okay. That's not how I expected that conversation.
That's some tough love, huh?
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. I was upset. I was challenged. I was mad. I was like, I'm gonna go prove you wrong. You're so totally off base here. And so I went on my own, got my logo and all the crap that everybody does before they actually sell houses.
All the really important stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All the super important things.
Yeah. As soon as I get this logo, put it on Facebook, they're gonna knock down my door.
Yep. Yeah, I was super creative too. It was just Travis Cox Realty, so that was awesome. And so for the first 4 months, I sold nothing. I rented a cubicle with my dad's credit card. I got Real Geeks with my dad's credit card. I got some Google ads with my dad's credit card. And I watched this man in my office named Jimmy Welch very systematically come in at 9 o'clock, call for 2.5 hours, go to lunch with somebody influential and leave. So I did it for the last 8 months of the year. And I did ads on YouTube with some really goofy, like 19-year-old, 20-year-old level content. And I sold 35 houses the rest of the year. And all from Google and YouTube and Facebook. So I really fell in love with it at that point, right? And I made it a career. And ever since, I've sold no less than 40 houses in a year. I went all the way up to 103 in 1 year by myself. I've been at 75 several times. And the big thing that I think kind of brought that full circle was just being challenged. Like I hated that. And
Yeah.
yet it turned into a love of real estate.
He gave you a chip. He put a
He
chip
did.
on your shoulder. Yeah.
He did. So yeah, I started 12 years ago, and I've been in love with it ever since. I own a big team now, and my dad and I no longer work together, but he has a really fruitful real estate business himself, and I got into technology really heavily because I just saw a need for my business. I was using a spreadsheet, I was using CTE and three other softwares to handle business, and I stupidly thought, okay, I'm going to go out and make an app to correct all these things, which Matt knows that's super fun, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Building
um,
technology is super easy, very inexpensive.
yeah,
Yeah.
no big deal. You'll get it taken care of, and everyone's gonna love it. Didn't go the way it's planned, but it really got me into technology, and that's what got me on KWI's radar. Is I pitched this app that I made over and over and over again until like my face turned red. It was insane, and I got into AI, which is what we're gonna kind of get into. Um, and next thing you know, I'm hanging out with Gary and Jason and making AI playbooks and all kinds of fun stuff.
Nice. Love it. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to recap, summarize, and a super important question. So number one, you mentioned so you started, you rented an office, you did a bunch of goofy stuff that didn't get you any business. You noticed the guy in your office 2 hours a day making calls, one influential meeting, goes home.
Yeah.
But then you said you started doing YouTube and paid ads and those types of things and closed 38 houses. So did you also start making calls and having an influential lunch every day? Was
Yeah.
that part of it, or did you just go straight to lead generating via YouTube?
Yeah, I skipped a few steps there. Thanks for that. Because I needed someone to call. I didn't have anybody to call. I didn't want to rely on my dad. I didn't want his help. I wanted to prove him wrong. So he was not an option. So
Yeah,
I walked around the office. I asked agents for old leads they didn't want. Like, I'll give
smart.
you a referral fee. Like, give me your old Trulia or Zillow or Realtor.com leads, whatever that was at the time. Anything that you didn't want to work, just give it to me. I'll give you a 25% referral fee. To my
Smart.
surprise, most of them said, I don't want anything. You can just have them. Okay. And I've got some cool stories about that. But
So
so
I got to stop you there because I had a very similar experience when I first came over to KW. I had an agent walk up to me in the office and say, "Hey, are you Matt Erdmann?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "So and so, an agent in the office, said that she sent you two buyer leads and you put both of them under contract in 2 weeks and closed a deal with them." And I said, "Yeah, that's true." It was like a sign call that they couldn't handle or something. And they put a stack of paper on my desk and said, "This is every lead that person has given me since I got here. I've never closed a deal. You can have them." And I literally looked at that person and said, "You should not give those to me."
oh my gosh.
I said, "I am going to close business out of that pile of paper. You should take it and you should call them. Because if you don't, and I'm gonna get business." And they said, "I've already tried. You can have it." And I remember just taking it and spinning to the phone and just starting to go. And yeah, absolutely. I got business out of it. Yeah.
It's so fruitful. It's a really good idea, especially if we don't have anyone to call.
Yeah.
And you know
Super.
you need to call people too. Like that's the name of real estate. If you're not calling or texting, it's hard to really make money outside of open houses or door knocks and all the other things, right?
All
So
right. So you went to everybody in your office, said, "If you got leads that are dying on the vine, give them to me. I'll send you a referral fee." Started making those calls.
I started making those calls. I made YouTube videos with call to actions to my website. They're really goofy, like 90-second videos. I got really into the science behind the time on it and all the things. And my Real Geek site started getting clicks. I started to have, people flood into the site, wrong numbers, bad info, all that crap. And at the end of the day, though, I realized I had at least 30 to 40 people I could call every day. And they kept going, so I kept filtering and kept pushing out timelines and all the things. But I had 30 to 40 people who I could truly call every day. And if when I was done with those people, I would call friends and family, even though my friends and family were all working with my dad or thought I was too young. But I would still do it because I knew it was important because I saw Jimmy doing it. And Jimmy was the best off agent in our office.
Got it.
So I would do it. I would use Facebook, which is really, I still do this to this day, by the way. I would use Facebook as my reason to call. So I would scroll Facebook, and if I saw a happy post, a sad post, a mad post, anything, like even the bad ones, I would just call and say, "Hey, I saw your post. It looks like you're going through something. Do you need someone to talk to?" And those calls were insanely valuable. Like
Wow.
I can't tell you how insanely invaluable. I still do them because of the amount of referrals that those things have led to. Now,
So is that so we do have to pause there because as simple as that is, it's sort of like a duh moment because that is actually gold. Because if you think about what most of us do, most of us scroll Facebook and what do? We like, we comment, we like, we comment, right? And we're lost in a sea of other people who liked and commented, right? It's
right,
the same way in that, like, email at this point, to send an email is borderline useless because it's just lost in that inbox. Yet the
right,
art of a handwritten note has come back because to get a note today is like, oh wow, they took out a pen and actually like wrote something and put a stamp on it. It just feels
right.
so much more genuine. It's really smart and very, very simple. I love that.
It was, and even like the happy ones are easy. Everyone can say congratulations and get off the phone. But the one thing that I heard Jimmy doing was Jimmy never said, "I'm in real estate and I want your referrals," and all the lines that you could say in that realm. He was just simply human and got off the phone. Said, "I don't want to take too much of your time. I just saw that you might be upset, and I wanted to lend an ear. That's all." And it was probably weird coming from a 19-year-old and calling like people twice my age, like I'm a helping hand for you today. Um, and they were awkward. Don't get me wrong. The first like 20 or 30 were really awkward. I didn't know what to say or how to handle it. But after that, I had my call list. I would do lead generation to start from people who I didn't know, all those calls and text. I would do people who I did know after that with Facebook, and then I would go to lunch with someone who I could learn from. And if I didn't, have the want to go to lunch that day, I would just go home if I didn't have showings. So I truly worked, no kidding. If you don't count showings, 3 hours a day in the office, and I would go home.
Okay. And you closed 38 houses in sounds like 8 months ish.
35. I made 100 in my now in Kentucky, our price range at the time was super low. My average price was like nothing. But I made $112,000. And as a 19-year-old, that is insanely too much money to give
Yeah.
a year old.
Did you
There
buy
were
a Rolly?
what's that?
Did you buy a Rolly?
No, I bought so we're gonna get into
Okay. Well, you
I'm
don't have to.
incriminating
You
myself.
bought. You know,
I,
you went and bought some dumb stuff though.
all my friends had fun at bars I should not have been at. I'll say that.
There you go. Cool. All right. So let's make a shift. So you got in. You spent 4 months doing goofy stuff. Then you found a focus. You leveraged dead leads in the office. YouTube. You did your 2 hours of lead gen. Your one influential lunch. In 8 months, that got you to 35 appointments. Um, talk talk to us. Tell us how AI showed up in your business. So let's start your first experience with AI. What did that look like? And then we'll lean into how you're actually using it now and give everybody some real nuggets as to how can they use it in a productive way. So let's
Yeah,
start with how did you first start playing with and introducing it into your business?
Yeah, so the as I was creating my app and I was really into technology and I started to see AI come out and for public use potentially. And ChatGPT was the first one that we all know of publicly, right?
Yep.
So I think it came out in like November or maybe it was December of I forget which year it is, but I was trying to figure out how I could implement it into my app. And instead, I found a million ways I could implement it into my business. And the first thing I wanted to do was to take some time back. I wanted to give some of my time back to myself and our assistants. So quick things like templates and making sure our file our ducks are in order. So our entire system and our the way we do things was helped by AI, not completely created because in November it was not the greatest product in the world.
Yeah.
Um, but I
But
began to
so
see
give us
that
a specific example when you used it to streamline some of your processes and systems.
Yeah, I noticed that all of our posts, I'm OCD, so I love when my posts they look pretty much the same. Like I love the simplicity of it. I wanted a very quick, easy template. That
Okay.
was the first thing I created.
So
Our
you went
email,
into ChatGPT and you said, make me a social media template.
in so many words, yeah, we had a million conversations with it to get it to what we wanted. But yes, I wanted a very effective and easy to read and easy to digest Facebook post to post all of my new listings.
Got it.
And then we went into email templates for sending the contract to the lender, and then congratulations to the buyer, congratulations to the seller. Every bit of our communication that was sent via email and or text, or on Facebook, we completely templated and automated, not automated just yet, but templated with AI.
Okay.
And then I used it for an unconventional reason that I probably have talked about before. I emailed Gary Keller about 100 times with 100 different versions of one email using ChatGPT.
You got his
Um,
attention.
I did 101 times in 90 days, and he said, "I guess I have to meet you." And that was my first introduction to potentially working with KWRI. And when I met him, Matt, he wanted to know what I was doing with AI, and I told him that I used AI to write him a million times. And he said, "Don't ever do that again." I was like, "Fair, I won't promise."
But you're
Uh,
in the room at that point. So
yeah,
mission accomplished. Yeah.
exactly. Someone told me he liked graphs too, like he liked drawing. So I drew this big thing about my app and AI, and none of it made sense, but it was behind me. And he's like, "What's behind you?" And I was like trying to explain it, and it was awful. And he was like, "Dude, why are we meeting?" I was like, I don't know. I want you to buy my app, maybe. I want to work for KBRI, maybe. I don't really know. Like, I have no clue. He was like,
Yeah.
"Well, A+ on effort, but terrible execution. What do you want?" And it turned into, he said, "Hey, take some time to collect yourself. Like, tell me what you're seeking." He gave me the grace in that, which was awesome.
Mhm.
About an hour later, Jason Abrams calls me. It was an Austin, Texas number, so I was like, "This has got to be Gary. This is so cool." And I thought I bombed it, obviously. And Jason calls me and he says, "Hey, tell me why Gary likes you so much." Like, what? No, he doesn't. You're lying. And he said he walked into my office and he put your name on a post-it note and your number and said, "Call him." And he's like, "I don't even know why I'm calling you." And it sounds like you didn't know why you were calling him. No, you're right. Yes. So we talked for a while. He figured out that I was into AI. He said, "Forget your app for a minute. Let's just talk about AI stuff," because it was a hot topic at the time. And
Mhm.
we talked and talked and talked, and it became the AI playbook after a while.
That's awesome. So for those of you who don't know what Travis is referencing, if you go into the MREA playbooks and all the one pagers that are being delivered to us by KW, so Travis was actually the author of the AI playbook that was provided to us by KW. So
Says
let's
Jake, but I'm not a authorized author with KW. So it says Jason, but my name's on the second page.
okay, got it. You got to watch that Jason guy, man. All right, so let's dive into the AI piece then. So you started out, you created some templates with it, you created some templated communication with it. Start walking us through how you use it. Well, let's do this first. Top three tips for somebody to get started. What to know, whether it's what to do or not to do. And then let's get into some specifics about how people can use it today to save time or make more money.
For sure. Okay, so first thing I would say is find the tool that works best for you. There's ChatGPT, there's Gemini, there's Claude, there's all these different AI services. Realize they're all a little bit different, right? Like ChatGPT is super creative. Claude is aimed to be more accurate and more precise. And in some of the like Gemini and whatnot are able to read some of your notes and all the things. But just find one that you like interacting with the most, because the one that you use is ultimately going to be the one that is going to help you. If you're not comfortable using another one, don't even get on it. I will say though, if you're wanting to create processes and systems, which we'll talk about Zapier and how to automate things, ChatGPT is your best bet because it's the only one that has API access with tools like Zapier, which we'll get into.
Got it.
So,
And for anybody who doesn't know, an API is just a way to plug another tool into a tool. That's what
yep,
an API is.
it's just like an outlet, right? You're just plugging something into an outlet there. So find the tool that works best for you, and then secondly, using the tool is really important. Like most people, how many of you like show of hands or hearts, whatever you want to do on this thing. How many of you write prompts like write me a newsletter? That's the typical prompting style. And
Just being honest, man.
yeah, hey, it's great. No, it's perfect because that's what we're gonna get out of today. When you write that, you get the same exact response whether you're in Connecticut or you're in California or you're in Kentucky or you're anywhere else. It's just going back on what it's previously produced, right? And in lack of instruction, AI creates. It just does. It thinks for you, it starts to go, and you didn't tell it anything, so it has no rails or guardrails, and it's just going. So to prevent that, we came up with a AI prompting model, and it's very simple. The first step of the model is to define your target audience. So
Okay.
who is my output going to?
Okay. So define the target audience.
Yes, whether it be my real estate clients who look and act like this, or my, daughter, even like if you're trying to get some advice for parenting, whatever it is, what is your output, or
Okay.
who is the output going to? Number two is tone and style. Do I want this output to be happy, mad, angry, or sad? Do I want it to be jovial, whatever, right?
Yeah. So
So
professional, low key, right? Give it a
exactly.
personality, essentially.
And that's where you'll find the biggest difference between Matt Erdmann and Travis Cox using the same prompt.
Yep.
That's where it gets into you. And you can even tell it who you are, who you perceive yourself to be. And I want to act, your output should mirror as such.
Yeah. So to give a really quick example, I happen to be listening to a podcast driving into the office today, and it's a national author who also is a coach who created a chat bot to be a coach for all the billions of people on the planet that he can't coach because either A, they can't afford to coach with him, or B, they live in another country, speak a different language, whatever the case may be. And they actually experimented where they would give him a coaching scenario and then give his chatbot that coaching scenario to see how much the answers matched. Because to your point, he had not only filled it with his knowledge, his writing, his everything that he could, he had taught it to think like him.
Right.
Right. So
Exactly.
it was interesting because the responses were very, very similar, whether
Yeah.
they asked him or asked his AI.
And in that vein, one thing that people ask me the most is, well, how come when I go from chat to chat, it doesn't recognize the previous thing? When you try to train a certain chat, and let's just use Chat GBT for example, you can hit new chat at the top left, and you maybe have 4 or 5 chats already open, right? If you tell it a prompt on chat one, and then you switch to the chat under it, and think that it's going to remember what you said in the previous one, it's not going to. Chats are contained in that chat itself. So, for example, I have a listing description chat where I only ask for listing descriptions, and I've trained it. I give it the prompt. All I have to do is put in the address and a little bit about the property, and my listing description's done. I have a chat only for I can't respond to this text because it's making me, feel some type of way. Help me have an unemotional response. You
Got
get
it.
the you get the point. So keep your
Yep. So
chats.
that means in each chat, you still have to remember target audience and tone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's more. So just
Got it.
wanted a sidekick on that to make sure that if you're going to train a chat to do one thing, keep it that one thing. Don't go off and ask it random questions. Keep it that one thing. You can have a random chat, right? Like for whatever you're doing, but if you're trying to train it, keep the main thing on each chat.
Got it.
So we have defined the target audience, we have set the tone and style. The next thing is use proper formatting. So do I want this output in one sentence, 6 paragraphs, 20 pages? How do you want it to come out? Because again, if you just say create my newsletter for me, it might think that you need, 90 sentences. It doesn't know.
Okay.
So tell it exactly what you want. And that's where we see a lot of frustration leave is when you tell it the proper formatting because I wanted this in a paragraph and you gave it to me in 10 pages. Like make it shorter. That cuts a whole step out, right?
Got it.
All right. And then two more. You've got to give it your desired outcome and goal. When you don't tell it that, it doesn't know what you're trying to accomplish. So it's just going to create again. But if you tell it, hey, I want to create a newsletter for my real estate clients and define your real estate clients. And I want it to seem extra happy because I'm super fun right now. And I need it to be in 4 paragraphs. And you leave it at that, it's just going to create something super fun and fancy. And we're done. But if I tell it, hey, my ultimate goal is for my clients to not only open the email, so the subject line has to be killer, the email is going to have a link to a home value dashboard, and I want them to click that. That's my ultimate goal, is to have them click that link. Make sure that this newsletter is crafted around that link to ensure it's the most important thing on the thing.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect, right? And then we're not done. Once we're done with that, we have to review and improve it. That's the largest problem with AI use right now, is just copying and paste. I'm sure all of you guys can get on Facebook right now and find 20 posts that are AI generated. They're just copying and pasting the post. That's it. Copy and paste, copy and paste. I have a trick though that I like to use with AI. I like to have it review and improve itself. So I'll say, hey, based on what you know about my prompt and my desired outcome and goal, act as my target audience and review your output to ensure the ultimate goal of blank is achieved. What changes would you make to ensure the ultimate goal of blank is achieved?
Okay.
And I,
So let me make sure I understand that. So at the end, your review process, you ask it to review itself from the perspective of the audience that it was designed for.
exactly. How often can you get in the mind of your target audience? The answer is never.
Got it.
So if I can even get close, and you have to give some details about your target audience too, right? Like they're home buyers, they're home sellers, they're in this state, this part of the country, we have this around us. What, like, however you want to describe who your target audience is, give it some real details, some real meat. And in that way, it can act as that target audience and give you some legit feedback on whether or not they would read, click, and open, or whatever the desired outcome and goal is. Now, from there, I take it and say, I'm going to make these changes, and I still make it my own. I still think that even with the review and improved from the AI, I'm still going to copy it, put it in my notes, and change a few things. Make sure it sounds like me, looks like me, acts like me. I do not want it to sound AI generated. And if you wanted to take it like a super step further, after you're done reviewing and improving for yourself and editing a few small things, you can throw it in the AI detector. You just type in detect AI, free, and you can copy and paste the whole thing, and it'll tell you if it's AI generated or not. And you,
What is an example of an AI detector that people could use?
here, I'll just Google one real quick. I usually whatever one pops up first.
So you literally just go to Google and type in AI detector, drop your
Literally,
document in, and it analyzes it and determines whether or not it thinks it's AI or not.
exactly. Like there's some that let you do 80 characters. I just found one called Quillbot. There's some that let you do 80 characters, or some that let you do a full thing for the first time. But just pick a new one every time. I never paid for one.
Okay.
Um, but that's the gist of the model, right? Like you've got to have the target audience, tone and style, proper formatting, desired outcome and goal, review and improve. That's
Got
it.
it. Okay.
And that alone will have you writing better prompts, and you're going to feel like, okay, my prompt is a paragraph long. You don't have to make it one big long paragraph. You can start individually. So if I'm defining my target audience, if I don't know my target audience, I might say, help me define my target audience. Ask me questions to ensure that I understand them fully to give you the best prompt.
Okay.
And
So
then I'll
let it coach you to figure out your target audience if you don't think you know it.
exactly, what
Got
tone and style should I use if I want to come across as a professional?
it. Okay.
All
Cool.
those things.
Awesome.
Someone said, do you use the free version of, or do I subscribe? I subscribe. I think if you're going to use it and you're going to use it daily, um, and you're going to use it to connect other tools to other tools, which we'll get into, I highly recommend paying for it.
Okay. All right. So let's get into some specific use cases today for you and your business.
Yeah. First one, I want to preface by saying this is going to sound like absolute gibberish, and I'm sorry, but I have no other way to explain it. Who uses Zapier? Does anyone know what Zapier is? Should I explain that real quick?
Yep.
All right. Zapier is zapier.com, Zapier.com. Zapier is simply a way to connect one tool to another tool. That's all it is. So, for example, I can connect a Google form as a trigger that then sends out an automated email with Gmail. If you use a CRM like Follow Up Boss, I can connect some lead triggers to an email or some lead triggers to a calendar invite. All these, there's a million different things you can do.
Yeah.
How AI comes in though is, for example, can I share my screen real quick, Matt, and show
Yeah.
you? It starts with a Google form. Anytime one of our deals go under or one of our agents put a deal under contract, they fill out a quick Google form about the deal, about the other agent that's involved, about the lender, the title company, the whole 9 yards, the client themselves, the purchase price, all of it. And the first thing I do, if you notice this Chat GPT right here, the first thing I do is I ask Chat GPT to give me a congratulatory message to our agents. It act as a happy, supportive friend who's sending a congratulatory message to an agent getting a new deal under contract. And you see how long the prompt is, and it has some fill-ins from our Google form, right? So we know the commission, we know all the things, we're congratulating our agents, and that gets posted in Slack. So we're not even touching it. And then from
Soon
there,
as they fill out the Google form, that triggers, the Zap sends it over to Chat GPT. Chat GPT writes it, and then it zaps it back and it hits Slack.
it hits Slack. And then it's also zapping over the deal details to our assistants. So they know exactly when we get something under contract. And then from there, you can really get creative. And this is like going to sound like absolutely ridiculous gibberish here, but there's a couple paths. And the paths can lead to buyer, seller, or new appointment, held appointment. There's a million different things you can do. But for us, it starts with buyer and seller. So path one is a buyer. And the first thing it does, if it's a buyer, is it sends an email to the other agent and the lender with the deal itself. So we've got great news. It's an automated email to inform you that this client has went under contract. It says the agent's name, gives the address, gives the transaction amount, the earnest money, and then it goes all the way down to the documents in a Google Drive. So like the second a deal goes under contract, if our agents fill out the Google form quickly, which that's debatable, right? It
Wait a minute. So the humans make the system break down? Is that what you're telling me?
in no way. Yes, they do.
Got it.
So the second they fill out this form, whether it's on a Saturday night, a Sunday morning, whatever it is, the lender is getting notified immediately. We don't want to be the reason why a deal is not rate locked at the right time, right? So, and we don't want to get a weekend and notice no one sent it either. And that can happen sometimes when you have humans involved, obviously. So,
Sure.
taking that out of it, boom, we got it. It's here. Now, a step further, we wanted to make sure like everything was pretty much taken care of on the first part of the transaction coordination deal here. So the special dates, like the inspection deadline, it's automatically sent as a calendar invite to our agent. They know exactly when their inspection deadline ends. And then there's a note that gets put in Follow Up Boss to remind them that it's coming up. Have you completed the repair request? We've got a
All
calendar
right.
invite for the
So I'm
contract.
gonna I'm gonna geek out a little, and I'm just gonna ask one little technical question.
Please.
So contract gets submitted, it automatically creates a calendar invite that gets sent over to the agent for the inspection as the example. What is pulling that date out of the agreement? Is that a human component or is one of the softwares pulling that date out?
Human component. So they put the inspection date deadline in the Google form. They put
Okay,
the contract date deadline in the Google form, and they're all required, so they can't skip it. It
got it.
has to be done. So
Okay.
if now
And then that is creating the zap that then sends the calendar invite.
exactly this entire pathway is created with that Google form and the responses from that form.
Got it.
So you get the point though. Contract deadline sent out, the inspection period deadline sent out. The contact is added to Follow Up Boss if they're not already in there. There are stage changes to listed or under contract, and then it creates a deal and Follow Up Boss for us. So it's doing quite a bit, right? Like we're half of our transaction coordination to begin with is automated completely. And this gives back the amount of time that we need to go out and make sure that we're able to source more deals or figure out more things with our TC team, right? So this is a super macro level thing that you can do with it. You
Yeah.
could also get really small and just send out, if I want to create a let's say my trigger is a client went under contract and I want to send a congratulatory message. I can simply take their stage and whatever CRM I'm in and use that as my trigger. And the message is created with ChatGPT using the triggers, and boom, I can send it to an email or a text.
Got it. Okay. So that's phenomenal. So for you with a team of 13 people, that is basically you've taken a whole bunch of what would normally be manual labor steps. You've reduced it down to a single physical activity, which is filling out the Google sheet. And that basically creates the dominoes that fall after that, which to your point means you need less people to do all that work, and or you get to allow those people to spend more time face to face and or helping to create more business rather than doing menial tasks essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah. We like to, create more time for them to go out and help us increase business. That's for sure. So everything is done in that vein. Now, if you're a single agent though, and you're like, how does this apply to me? This is ridiculous. It's too much. I would start small. Start with your client communication. Start with your templates on AI that goes out to the lenders, the title company, the whole nine yards. Make everything look somewhat similar. You could put your little touch on it and your dashes and sprinkles, right? But the consistency is key here. If you're constantly finding yourself writing a quick email and you don't have time, so it's just less detail, the experience is not as good. You got to think to yourself, how would I want to be treated in this experience? Because it is an experience, and let AI help you create that experience. So even if it's down to the small things like an email template or a small thing like I can't respond to this text because I'm emotionally charged right now. That's my
Yeah.
favorite one, by the way. That's absolute favorite one, personal or business. This text triggers me because of this. How do I respond in an unemotional state so it doesn't seem like I'm freaking out? That is my favorite thing to ask it.
Love that. I do actually have I do know somebody else who uses ChatGPT for that same thing. They will
Yeah,
go in and say, make this email friendly or soften this message for me. Yeah.
absolutely. So also know this too, guys. Like everywhere around you is AI. You don't even realize it, but it is. AI has completely taken over most technologies. So even if you don't think you're using it, you probably are. But if you just simply dabble in the ability to communicate with your clients better, communicate with other agents better, communicate with your friends and family better, if you need help with that, it is ridiculously important. And I think that you'll start to realize that you can use it for more things when you dabble in that simple space.
Love it. Awesome. All right. So where you so far have touched on using it for social media templates, we've touched on creating templated communication. We've touched on automating systems. What else are you currently using it for that would help people either save time or make more money?
We have it's a goofy one, but we have an automatic Google review responder. The second we get a Google review, we're all notified automatically using Zapier, OpenAI, and Google. And we use AI to write the thank you message for the review. So very small tool tip there, but it just we have it mention something that the person said, make it under two sentences, and only respond if it's 5 stars. If it's not 5 stars, email me first so I can respond accordingly. And that's a huge help for us as well. But outside of that, um, Matt, do you mind if I pull up one more thing?
No, right. While Travis is pulling that up, what I would encourage you to do just from the system the systems and communication piece, if there's a thing that you do over and over again, that is a thing you should be asking yourself, is there a way to automate this and automate it in a way that it still delivers my personality and the standard of customer service and communication that I represent, right? But if
Exactly.
you do it repeatedly, you can likely create some form of automation to do it for you.
Yeah, and don't let the tool scare you. Just get on YouTube and Google and start to ask, how do I operate Zapier? And you'll be surprised. You'll learn it in like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe 20. Um, so a couple things you can do, and the first thing is clean your database. If
It's
you
huge.
are switching from one CRM to another, or if you just want to get better collated data to put into your CRM or maybe host it off of a CRM, GPT is amazing. If you have a CSV file and you want to add rows, or you want to make sure that the data is all in one format, meaning maybe one of your rows has two emails separated by one comma. All you have to do is simply tell ChatGPT to take this CSV. The specific row in question is this. Please make it two rows or two columns, and take one email on one column and the next email on the next column. Very simple data entry things that you can do if you want to save some time and not pay somebody on
Yep.
ChatGPT. So there's one thing. We talked about streamlining communication, which is great, but AI staging is really fun. If there's tools like aihomedesign.com, and there's a million others, that isn't just about putting a couch in a living room. You can change the sky. You can change, you basically renovate a home with it. So on our flips and rentals, I like to take pictures of spaces I need ideas for, and I'll literally create an experience inside of an AI bot, much like AI home design, and give me some ideas about how I can renovate the space. And you'd be surprised what it comes up with. Very cool. Um, all the way down to, light, making the pictures more light, and doing the whole staging thing with the couches and all the furnitures and whatnot. But this is a really cool way to, if you don't want to pay extra for those, because there's some photographers in our area, I don't know about you guys, but thousands of dollars to make a huge experience with virtual staging and lighting and all the things. We pay someone $200 to shoot the pictures, and if we need some virtual staging, we run into one of these bots, and it's $30, for to create something really nice. So that's one thing I would consider using.
So
And
it's funny, this maybe not the market today, but market coming. That feels like it'd be an awesome tool for a listing presentation on an expired listing. Like
absolutely,
go grab the photos, do a virtual staging, and bring those with you to the listing.
that's a great idea.
Love that.
Great. Fun fact, AI home design is somewhat owned by Serena Williams.
Oh,
There
that's fascinating.
you go. We have some workflows we talked about automating.
Yep.
Um, and lastly, on the streamlined communication piece, does anyone use some sort of a giveaway or do anything with giveaway? Like I do Starbucks, so every month I give away, I add money to my Starbucks account, screenshot it, looks like this. I'll show it to you, and I have AI create the message, and we send it out. Let me share my screen one more time. Looks like this. Don't use it. I'll know if it comes from Connecticut or wherever you are. I will know it was it was you guys. Uh, but I made this on Canva. I just took my screenshot of my Starbucks app, and I load about $100 per 100 people who I want to send it to. I ask AI to create the message, and I send it out once a month. And it just says, "Have a cup of coffee on me," and it's something funny about the month or a current event, whatever's going on. This right here, combined with the Facebook, I sold 103 houses in 1 year from those two things.
Come on.
No lead.
Okay, so that is a cue to dig in a little bit more. So you're putting that on social media. You're
Nope.
sending it via email. Like, what do you said? I send it. What do you mean I send it?
So Reach is an app on iPhone and I think Android, REACH, and then Hit 'em Up, another
Reach,
one.
hit them up.
Yep, Reach and Hit 'em Up.
That's also a song by Tupac, I think.
I think it is. Now, on both of those, you have to hit send over and over and over and over again, right? But you can't send them automated for two reasons. If you set up a whole thing with command or follow boss or whatever your CRM is, and you send out 100 text messages that are templated the same exact way, it's going to get filtered out by the carriers. They're not getting delivered,
Yeah,
especially when you have an attachment. So the only way around it is to send personalized text messages from your phone. And that's annoying if you're going to send 500. I
sure,
send 500 every month. It's annoying if you're going to send 50, honestly.
sure.
So an app like Reach or Hit 'em Up will have the message for you. It'll slightly change it if you have option A, option B, option C, and then you just hit send over and over and over again. The message is already automatically put up for you, and then
Yep.
you just keep hitting send. It takes about 20 minutes. Now, highly preface this and write this down if you're taking notes. Do not send more than 180 in 1 day. Your phone will be shut off for a week. I've learned the hard way twice now. Do not do it. AT&T specifically hates it. I know for a fact. Now, if you have a lot, if you're going to send to 400 people, just space it out over a few days. But the reason why I like this is, and I don't ask for business, I hardly ask for anything unless it's the third time I'm sending it. So I do value, value, ask. Alex Hermosi, if you look him up on Instagram.
Yeah.
So value, value, here's a cup of coffee, have a great day. Here's a cup of coffee, tell me what you got. Here's a cup of coffee, send me the picture of what you got. And it's only going to people who I know that would pick up the phone for me if I called. I've sold a house to, they're friends or family, there's someone who would give me a referral, all the things, right? And I'm simply saying, here's a cup of coffee. I don't ask for a referral. I don't say I'm in real estate. I don't say anything. They know already.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they'll say the saddest things in the world, like, I really needed this today. You don't understand. I've been balling all day. Like, time to be human again, right? But other times they're like, cool, thanks, or don't respond, or spend $50 of the $500 on all the snacks and don't say anything. And that's fine too. But if I could scroll through my messages, like, I'll do it next month and maybe we can jump back on here and show you the results. Every single time I get no less than 5 leads. But I'm sending 500 text messages though over the course of 4 days.
Yep.
No less than 5 leads.
So
And
yeah. So 1% conversion ratio from a text that takes
20 minutes a day, 3 or 4 days. Now, I got a couple questions. Sending $1 per person. It's 100 per 100. So yeah, $1 per person. And not everyone's gonna use it. You gotta understand, like, most people are gonna look at it and say cool and move on. That sounds crazy, but it's true.
Yep.
And I'll even tell them in the text. I had a couple people go and then they weren't able to use it, so I learned my lesson. And I had to say, if you're gonna go later than the next couple hours, let me know and I'll make sure there's money on it for you when you go. So give that preference or preface, sorry. But you'd be surprised. Most people either don't use it at all, never look at it, and all of a sudden reach out to you and say, thanks so much, I'm ready to buy or sell. Or they'll use it every single time and they're like your most frequent customer and they're commenting your name on Facebook on every person that says I need a realtor. There's really no in between. And don't get discouraged if they don't respond. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Some of those are my best clients. They won't respond at all. And they're like, hey, it's time to move again.
The example I always use with that, because we send stuff out and then we're like emotionally attached to getting a response. When the reality is, right, we're all busy. We all get things all the time. What matters is that we're still maintaining that space in the brain. Like, I had an agent, I referred a client to them in Myrtle Beach, and they put me on a drip campaign that I remained on for a decade.
Right.
And literally a decade later, I'm rounding off, but roughly it was 6-8 years something. Somebody called me and said, do you know an agent in Myrtle Beach? And I pulled their name right off the top of my head. I said, I actually do, yes. I had never responded to a single thing that human had sent me. However, their name was still in my head 6 to 8 years later because I got all that communication. And the minute it was relevant, the name was there and I referred another transaction to them. Right. All right. We're down to 11:52. So Cassie, Victoria, do we have any other questions in the chat box that we need to hit?
I know there was one towards the beginning. Let me scroll back. When you were talking about like all the different prompts and everything and like keeping it within its own channels, do we need to copy prompts about ourselves, tone, etc. into each chat then?
Yes.
Okay. Would it make sense to have like a blanket statement of like, this is who I am as my personality, and then you can like copy paste that when you're starting each prompt?
Yeah, you can if you're constantly crafting a text or email. Absolutely. I think that's totally fine.
Awesome. Just scrolling through.
Someone said, what is your app? It is no longer in existence.
Okay. That is helpful. Flowchart set up through Zapier. I think you answered that one. Yes, the recording will be sent out to everybody.
I always like to ask this question though. You are in Louisville, Kentucky.
Close. Not.
It's
okay. Go ahead.
Louisville, Kentucky. I'm gonna keep practicing. You're in Kentucky. Does that hurt your ears when I try to do that? You're in Kentucky. We're gonna stick with that right now. So you're in Kentucky. You get sucked into a spaceship. You get dropped off into a place you've never been before. You know absolutely nobody. The only resources you have to start your business from scratch. The only resources you have is your knowledge and your experience. What is the very first thing that you do?
I'd make a Facebook video about the market and wherever I'm at every single Friday without pause, 1 minute or less, and I would boost it. And I would have a website and it would have some call to actions to click the links. And I would do it every single week. Grab some attention, be goofy, be funny, doesn't matter. The content honestly doesn't matter. It's the consistency. And that's where I would start.
Awesome. Okay. Before I open it up for questions, just so I don't miss the opportunity, what is a perfect referral for you in case anybody has somebody looking for business in Kentucky, and how do people reach you to give you that referral? Should they have?
Great question. So Southern Indiana and most of Kentucky we covered. So anywhere in Kentucky, I either have it or I can have somebody do it. And then in Indiana, Southern Indiana only is where we operate out of.
Okay.
So I'll put my number in the chat. You can reach out to me there or via email. And for people who I do these chats with, I offer 30%, by the way.
Awesome. So Kentucky, Lower Indiana, you've got a phone number, you've got an email. We have 3 minutes left. I'm going to open it up to the group. Do we have any questions, anything that you want to ask Travis before we show him gratitude and let him go? This is your opportunity.
I think David had a question. Do you offer any videos and trainings? Working on something now actually for AI training and AI support / coaching. So I can let Matt know when it's done.
Awesome. Love that. Maybe we'll have you back on to kind of talk through that, walk through that when you have it ready.
If you text me and tell me you're interested, I'll keep you on the list as well. Just send me your email.
Awesome. What else? Going once, going twice.
Do you have a list of basic tools that you like to use, even just for basic videos?
Basic videos, like meaning like AI or non-AI or both?
So I went back to like videos. So for instance, you don't necessarily need $10,000 worth of equipment. You probably go simple, I imagine.
No, if you do your iPhone and have a like a $30 microphone off Amazon, you're gonna crush it. People want real. Quit overproducing.
It's Mela from
Hey, Mela.
Hi, great job on this, by the way. The flow chart, I'm sorry if I kind of missed how that works, like in terms of linking it. I know that Zapier links it, but is there some kind of like a step-by-step process that you could post or maybe send to Matt to send to us, how that works?
Yeah, it walks you through it. So the second you hit create a zap, it'll literally ask you for the first thing, which is the trigger, and then it's going to say the plus button, and it's just going to keep telling you next step, next step, next step. You can stop it anywhere you want it, but it will walk you through it very seamlessly.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mela, we could connect on that. But I'm not sure if you saw the whole piece. The initial piece of that is a Google Doc. That's
Yeah,
the information, and then after that, it's all just zaps that are pushing the triggering the next activity. And that's essentially what's kicking it over to ChatGPT, then kicking out the email. So if you want to, we can connect on that, but it is a thing. You just want to start playing with it. And it is super cool what you can actually do with those apps. Like you can pretty much go, you know, it would be amazing. It'd be amazing if this could just happen. It can.
They actually have AI, and you can ask it what you want to create or tell it what you want to create, and it'll give you step-by-step directions. Like one of my favorites is I don't go to the gym, which whatever, but I have it.
You automate your workouts?
I have it send me a workout automatically every morning. So it's like that you're going to go to the gym, but you're not. It's like there for good measure. I don't go, but I know what I should do if I did go.
That's outstanding. Anything else from the group? All right. I think we are good. Travis, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you jumping on with us today.